Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about the SB15 brace. It would seem that the SB15 brace is back at the forefront of conversations on the internet because of a couple of things that have happened recently. Probably the biggest thing that's happened recently is a letter started to make its way around the internet right around Christmas this past year, just a few weeks ago. The letter writer wrote a letter to the ATF, and it was extremely poorly written, and it pretty much was a loaded question from the beginning, which left the ATF no choice but to respond in the way in which they did. The letter writer started off by saying, well, I need a Form 1, in essence, to manufacture an SBR, but if I don't put a stock on it and I use an SB15 brace instead. Because the question was so poorly worded, the ATF had to respond, well, yes, if you intend to manufacture a firearm and the intent is to shoulder that firearm, using an SB15 brace won't get you out of paying your $200 tax. I agree with the ATF, based upon the way the law is currently written under their current interpretations. They really haven't changed anything. They haven't changed their minds on it one bit, and it's not surprising, okay? Do I agree with the law in itself? Of course not. I think you guys know that. But the ATF was consistent in their response, I believe. What was ridiculous was the letter that was sent to them, which left them no option but to respond in the way they did. So now this letter's made its way around the internet, and a bunch of people are getting all up in arms saying, look, the ATF's changed its mind. But the letter was very clear. If you read the letter carefully, you'll see that what the ATF is saying is, if your intent is to manufacture a rifle and circumvent the NFA laws and use an SB15 brace instead of a stock, that yes, you would be in violation of the law. However, if your intent is to manufacture a pistol, you're fine. You're not going to change the classification of the firearm by putting the brace on it, okay? They've been consistent in that. We also have other letters that they have issued, like the one that was recently released to the Colorado Police Department, where the officer or the department had requested the ATF, was it legal for a person who they had arrested, presumably, firing a pistol from the shoulder using the SB15 brace? Were they breaking the law? And the ATF told them no. In essence, there's no way to fire a handgun illegally. Now, when you're manufacturing a firearm, if your intent, and intent is everything to the ATF in these matters, if your intent is to manufacture a rifle and you don't pay your $200 tax and you make an SBR and you use an SB15 brace instead, yeah, you could wind up in prison for 10 years because of what you've just done. If you go out and buy a pistol from SIG, let's say, like the 5.56 pistol with the SB15 brace installed, which I own one, SIG's intent when they manufactured the pistol was for it to be fired with one hand, and they have a letter from the ATF saying that it is fine. Their use of the SB15 brace on their pistol does not change the classification of the weapon. So therefore, I am operating under SIG's letter from the ATF when I purchase their firearm, and should I happen to fire it from the shoulder occasionally, I'm not breaking the law. Okay, again, intent is everything to the ATF. Now also please keep in mind, I am not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. This is just my understanding of the law as it currently stands, and the ATF's position as it currently stands as well. Now, can the ATF change its mind? Or can it issue determinations that seem to fly in the face of logic or reason? The answer to that question is yes, because they've done it in the past. Yes, they can change their mind, and yes, they can issue determinations that make absolutely no sense. They've done it with regards to handguns, and let me explain to you how they've done that. This Smith & Wesson Model 10 revolver, it's a .38 special caliber revolver. It's intended to be fired with one hand. The ATF has ruled that handguns, how they determine what a handgun is if the firearm was intended when it was manufactured to be fired with one hand, like this, shooting the gun with one hand. Now, most people out there, myself included, don't shoot handguns with one hand. We shoot handguns with two hands like this. Now, the ATF isn't going to prosecute me for shooting my handgun, this revolver or a semi-automatic pistol or anything else, with two hands. Most people in the modern day shoot their handguns with two hands. Bullseye shooters will shoot with one hand. Perhaps if you're taking a training course, they're going to do drills where you're going to pretend that one arm's out of the fight, it's been wounded, whatever, and you're going to practice manipulation drills with one hand, sure. But just regular shooting, almost everybody you see at the firing range is shooting their handgun with two hands, and the ATF isn't going to prosecute them for it. Now, where the ATF has made some really weird determinations that don't seem to be logical in the slightest is with regards to pistols such as this FAL pistol. This is a DS Arms pistol. It is not a rifle. It has an SB15 type brace on it. This one is manufactured from Century Arms. This is, in fact, a handgun. I'm just folding the brace out of the way for the moment to show you the ridiculous determination that the ATF has made regarding these. Now, you'll notice that this FAL pistol has a heat shield and a handguard right here. Now, the ATF has determined that this handgun is perfectly legal as a handgun because I can fire it with one hand. Matter of fact, I can even put my hand here on the handguard and fire it with two hands, and the ATF isn't going to arrest me for that. Where the ATF would arrest me, or a law enforcement agent would arrest me under the determination of the ATF's rulings, is if I put a vertical forend grip on this pistol. The ATF has decided that if I do that, my intent is to manufacture any other weapon that would be controlled under the NFA, because now I've gone from a handgun that was intended to be fired with one hand to a handgun that was intended to be fired with two hands. Doesn't make any sense, especially because it already has a handguard there. Vertical or horizontal, who cares? It's a handguard, and people fire it with two hands all the time, so it's an absolutely ridiculous ruling. So what the SB15 discussion is all about is whether or not you can fire a handgun illegally. Okay, now by putting a vertical forend grip on this, I've changed the configuration of the gun. I'm adding something to it that would break the law. Since the ATF has already determined that this is not a stock and it does not change the classification of this handgun, I can shoot this any way I wish. I can shoot it like this, I can shoot it like this, I can shoot it like this, and if I want to occasionally shoot it from the shoulder. That's the way we currently understand the law and the ATF's interpretation. Now, a group out there on Facebook called AR-15 Pistol Shooters has recently made a matter-of-fact post saying that the ATF has in fact changed its mind, and using case law, they're now going to issue a new letter sometime here in the near future, and they're working with SIG, presumably, in this statement that they made, and SIG agrees with the ATF, is what they're saying, that if you manufacture a pistol and you shoot it as a pistol using the SB15 brace clamped to your arm as it's intended, you're not in violation of the NFA laws. However, they're now going to say that if you go from shooting it from the pistol position with one hand to actually putting it in your shoulder, you've now gone from a handgun to an illegal SBR. Legal, illegal. Legal, illegal. Okay? So that's what they're contending. Now, they claim to have highly placed sources that have given them this information. And what do I think about that? Well, I think that they're mistaken, that their sources are fabricating things, or they've perhaps fabricated their sources, that they're talking to people that don't have any idea what they're talking about. Because I don't believe that the ATF is doing that at this time. It certainly didn't make that determination. I don't think in the letter that was circulated around December, around Christmas this year, that is just recently talked about. And I don't think the ATF is going to write a new letter and circulate it in the industry saying that you can go from a handgun to a rifle simply by the way that you fire the pistol. Now, so could they do that? Certainly they could. They can do anything they want. Then it would just have to go to court and have a judge determine whether or not their interpretation of the law was just or not. So yes, they could do it, but I don't think that they are doing it. And I say that because Jeff Zimba posted to their post on Facebook and said that his sources are saying that that's patently false. It's completely untrue. The ATF isn't in the process of redefining the legalities of the SB15 brace or making the determination that a handgun can be fired illegally. You know, it'd be like saying, well, you can shoot this revolver with one hand or two-handed, but if you put the butt of the pistol in your shoulder and pull the trigger, oh my gosh, you now have made an SBR and you're going to go to prison. He's saying that that's silly, that they're not doing it, that SIG is not in cohorts with the ATF on this, and saying that they never intended the SB15 brace to be used as a device that would be shouldered. And I trust Jeff's judgment. Jeff has been in the industry for 25 plus years. He used to write for Small Arms Review. He's a technical writer. He knows the ins and outs of laws. He's been fighting for our Second Amendment rights in courts for decades. He also just recently published a book on the AR-15. And if anybody's an expert on the subject, it would be Jeff. And I also happen to know Jeff personally. He's a friend of mine. And I know Jeff wouldn't speak out of turn. He wouldn't fabricate sources, and he wouldn't make stuff up. And he certainly wouldn't open his mouth unless he was 100% sure of what he was saying. He's a very factual person. And he's saying that his sources are saying that AR-15 pistol shooters' comments are completely false. Where do I stand? I'm not an attorney. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I'm doing and how I view things. Right now, I don't believe it's illegal for you to take your pistol and occasionally shoot it from your shoulder. I don't think that's illegal under the current ATF interpretation of the law. Can the ATF change its mind? Absolutely. It's demonstrated they can and they have in the past. But I don't think they're at that point yet. So if you're looking to buy an SB15 brace on a pistol, I would do this. Buy it from a manufacturer that has manufactured it with the intent of it being a pistol. SIG is a perfect example. Their 5.56 pistol that ships with the SB15 brace. They have a letter from the ATF saying that that is a handgun. The brace does not change the classification of the handgun, so therefore SIG manufactured it with the intent of it being a handgun, and when you buy it, you're operating under their letter and you're buying a handgun. If you occasionally fire it from the shoulder, you shouldn't be in violation of the law. Where you can run afoul of the law is if you become the manufacturer, you manufacture an AR-15, and your intent is to make it a rifle without paying your $200 tax, as the letter writer did that I just recently mentioned, then you can run afoul of the law. The ATF, in their eyes, intent is everything. If you intend to circumvent the NFA laws, you intend to build a rifle and use a brace instead of a stock, then the ATF can prosecute you. How will they prove intent? I don't know. Perhaps you go on the forums and you say, hey guys, look, I bought an SB15, I bought this AR-15 lower, I'm going to put it together, I'm going to make a rifle out of it, but ha ha ha, I don't have to pay a tax. They get a hold of that post and they trace it back to you and you've built that, they could probably say that your intent was to build a rifle. So, me personally, I'm going to buy pistols that already have the brace installed and I'll use them however I see fit because I am buying a pistol. I see it as a pistol, I'll treat it as a pistol, and if I just happen to occasionally fire it from the shoulder, I wouldn't be too worried about it. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to you because AR-15 pistols have been on the market for some time with just their receiver extensions, the buffer tube. Long before SB15s were invented, people were firing those from the shoulder and the ATF didn't have a problem with it. So putting the SB15 brace on it really doesn't change much. If the ATF is going to change their mind about the brace, they're probably going to change their mind about you putting that buffer tube in your shoulder as well without the brace. So again, not as a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer I should say, I'm not giving you legal advice. I would just be very careful. I wouldn't go out there and say you're circumventing the laws. If you want a pistol with the SB15 brace, by all means manufacture one, but if you want to play it even more safe, just buy a pistol with the brace already installed. If you guys have any questions about anything I've said in this video, please swing by our Facebook page. You can ask questions there. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/military arms. You can also find me on Instagram. I'll put a link down below, and I also invite you to come by and check out Copper Custom, which is our online store. You support the Military Arms channel by shopping at Copper Custom. I am a partner in the gun shop. It helps us immensely. Come by, shop there. We have lots of guns and accessories, and we have really good prices. So again, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.